Hey, what's going on, everybody? Movie Phantom here, and yes, we're back for another Saturday night, and it is the Movie Phantom's horror review. Now, let's go ahead and jump into this. Tonight, I'm reviewing the original Wes Craven classic, Last House on the Left, bam. And the other movie I'll be doing is The Legend of Hell House. So, let's get into this, shall we? Alright, so up first we got Last House on the Left. And yes, I am very fond of this movie right here. In fact, this is just the brutal side of things right here. I fucking love it. I remember the first time I watched this, actually. This is one of those movies that, I was always told, this is one that the bar was kind of set high on, because I always heard how brutal it was. And you know what? It still lives up to this hype. I think I kind of, when you're a kid, you ever watch a movie when you're younger, and in your mind you have, your memories are telling you it's one way, and then you kind of go back and rewatch it, and it's maybe not as brutal as it may appear. Like, I remember Jaws being bloodier than it was, and it's really not that bloody of a film. It's just what your mind, tells you and everything like that. And I do remember this being more visually brutal. But then when I watched it just now, like over this past week, I noticed that really a lot of it's more implied. But it does make it more, I guess it's definitely has more of a punch to it, because a lot of stuff is just, it's kind of out of frame and, everything like that. And of course I'm referring to, the brutal rape and depraved acts that these serial killers, inflict on these two poor young girls. The basic storyline is Mary and her friend, it's Mary's birthday. I don't know what fucking birthday it is, 16, 17, something like that. And anyways, they're heading into town to go to a concert. And on the way, they decide to buy some drugs. And of course, they end up buying, or they talk to the son of a serial killer. And of course, when he brings them back to the apartment, they get shanghaied by Krug and I forget the other dude's name, and Sadie. And they just all fucking descend on these girls. Poor things. And then from there, and what I like about it, and this is a theme that kind of went through Wes Craven's career, actually, is pushing ordinary humans to their most primal, basic instincts. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago when I did The Hills Have Eyes, the original. And I said even to a certain extent, you can even see that in Nightmare on Elm Street. And here, basically what happens is, and this is spoiler alert because this is 1972, so I am going to be dropping some spoilers. Mary and her friend do not make it. They get taken, first they're repeatedly, they don't show nothing, but you can assume they're probably, repeatedly raped and, fucked with in this hotel, this hotel or apartment overnight. And then they are dragged out and thrown into the trunk. Well, the car just so happens to break down in front of Mary's house. And, of course, they drag him into the woods and do even more depraved shit with him. Which, to me, was definitely the high point. I mean, he makes the one girl wet herself. And then the one thing that, was later reused in Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects, he has them hit each other, hit her. I said hit her, And, but yeah, they're constantly, and then, of course, they get raped again, and they're eventually killed. And, so what happens is these killers clean themselves up, and they go to that first house, and then of course they realize that they are in now the the victim's parents' house, and of course they're just ordinary people. They're very polite and everything. Well, the thing is, the mother notices the necklace on and of course just from overhearing them and everything, and they put it together and they realize, boom, these people in our house killed our daughter, and so then they decide to get the revenge. And I love that because these people are just the most ordinary nice people, and then when they're pushed too far, they fucking break bad. The one thing about this film, and it does seem to be the main criticism, if you will, is that it has a very uneven feel, because amidst all this, fucking brutality that you're seeing on screen, they have these two cops that they just kind of cut to a lot, and they're just they're bumbling around, and the soundtrack's a little off or whatever, like they're constantly, it looks almost like it's a comedy. And then, of course, we go right back to just this very, horrifying experience these girls are going through. Back to, the two cops, they're now they're on foot because their car broke down or whatever the case may be, you know, it popped a tire or whatever. But you know what? The more I think about it, I like that. Because it is like you're seeing the two polar opposites here. You're seeing, you know, the extreme, you know, horrible side of things. And you're seeing this lighthearted, and granted, I won't deny that, you know, it does kind of have an uneven feel, but that's life in general. Like, you know, you can literally have a shitty day, and then during that day, something just extremely hilarious happens. And now, not to the extent, I'm not saying I've ever had a day where I was gang raped and then I was having a wacky adventure on the no. But I'm just saying, you know, it can happen, and it does happen. So I do like that. I really love the soundtrack on this thing. In fact, it was all the music was recorded and performed by David Hess, who is Krug in the movie as well. So I really dug that. And once again, even the soundtrack is very just kind of. It's a contrast to the rest of the movie, and but I still like that. I really do. But no, Last House on the Left I think is really great. I love the revenge. I love that, you know, when the parents do finally, you know, decide to break bad on them, what they do to them. It's really just good stuff. Some really messed up stuff. Now I've always heard that there is actually extra scenes that are now feared to be lost or whatever. But they, you know, I guess there are other scenes. There's a scene where Sadie ends up raping one of the girls, and you know, there's other just horrible things, but apparently those scenes have, you know, since become lost, and I really hate to hear that. But what we get, you know, here, it's still just a landmark in exploitation and a landmark in horror. And yeah, I still think it's one of the best movies out there, bar none. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. There ain't really much I can say. I mean, this is a classic, so anything I'm saying will just be kind of regurgitating, you know, what you have already seen or heard or whatever a million times before right here on YouTube. So, but yeah, if you have not checked this out, I highly recommend it. And this is way better than the shitty Hollywood remake they would make, you know, years later, which was just garbage. So, yeah, boom, stick with the original. And then up next, we got The Legend of Hell House, where basically this guy he's basically doing a little, I guess, independent research to see if ghosts exist. So he sends them all up to Hell House, and he sends up the scientist who is a paranormal investigator, and then, of course, he's with his wife. And then you got the psychic, and then you got the sole survivor of this, like, massacre that took place there, you know, years before. And so the four of these people are up there at this house. They all get, you know, X amount of money if they can, you know, stay the entire week and produce, you know, some kind of, you know, evidence or whatever the case may be. I saw this years ago, and I'll be honest with you, I completely forgot all of it. 1973 is when it came out. That's not when I watched it, though, but I wasn't born yet. But anyways, I have it on VHS, and I left the tape over there, but I'm not going to get it. So I've seen it years before, and I honestly did just forget every fucking thing. I remember I liked it. In fact, I remember because both these movies were on the 13th Wolfman's list of stuff I need to review, and I remember like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. I liked it. I don't remember much about it. So popped it in, and the one thing that hit me instantly was how much Scary Movie 2 took from The Legend of Hell House. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you know, from the cat going crazy to Tori Spelling's character getting, you know, plowed in bed to shit. The whole fucking plot pretty much is basically, you know, Scary Movie 2 just lifted, which made me appreciate Scary Movie 2 just a little bit more, because like when the Wayans do spoof movies, they have a knowledge of cinema, and they got a deep well to, you know, get their resources out of, whereas the two fags that do the epic movie / date movie / vampire suck / every fucking shitty film in the past 10 years, they just kind of reference the shit that came out like past 3 months, and that's it. So I don't know, it made me kind of appreciate Scary Movie 2 just a little bit more. But now this movie has Roddy McDowall, which I'm a big Roddy McDowall fan, from Planet of the Apes and Fright Night, of course. He's done. I remember seeing him in something else. I know I've seen him in more things. He did an episode of Twilight Zone and shit. But I've always been a big fan of his. And but he's the sole survivor. He's the one that comes back, you know. And what happens is this house has a history of brutality. And the guy, I even like there's a scene where the guy kind of lists everything that's happened in the house, and he's just going through like he's like, you know, there was sexual assault and bestiality and fucking, you know, torture and sadism and cannibalism and murders. And he's just going through like this laundry list of shit, and it's just like, no big deal. That's what they did back then. This is what they did. It's an orgy of a good time back then. I really dug it. Now that's one thing I've noticed, especially now. It seems like the newer supernatural haunted movies I do always kind of put above the old ones. Like the old ones I do consider classic, but I know it's like the original Amityville Horror does not hold up for me personally. Like I watch it and it's not bad, but it's so fucking slow. And The Changeling is another one that was just so like dull, and I'm just like, fucking this. Let's get to it. Come on. Okay, I'm sorry. I get it. There's a noise off camera, and oh, I'm scared. Oh no, it don't work for me though. I'm sorry. Like it does. I mean, I don't know. Especially when you know that's all you're getting out of it, you know. I did The Haunting not too long ago, or it's been a while back ago, but the original 1963 version of The Haunting. And it was the same thing. I just didn't give a shit. Like, the characters weren't that interesting, and I don't care about moaning and fucking knocks off the side, of, you know. And I'm not saying you, I mean, I don't know, if the story was written better, then maybe it'd be different. So, when I rewatched Hell House, I was a little, or The Legend of Hell House, I was a little apprehensive, like, maybe this will not live up to what it was before. And you know, it may end up petering out and being dull or whatever the case may be. But I found this one very, it moves pretty quickly. And it's very interesting. I like the story. Excuse me. We just had some chicken bacon subs we made, and I'm getting indigestion right now. Fam's getting old. I hate that shit. Like, I'm old now. Anything I eat, I just get heartburn and shit. I thought it was a very fascinating story. I liked the interaction between the four main characters and everything inside this house. Really, if I had any complaints, it is minor, but there was like one thing where they had the little, they would always remind you, because I mean, once again, they got a week to do their thing, and so they constantly remind you like what day it is. But they'll do that shit like 7 times within like a 10-minute period. And it'll be like, it's Monday at 10:30 a.m. And then, like, literally, like a scene will happen. And it's really nothing going on. They're just, like, talking about the history of the house. And then the next scene, it's like, it's Monday. But now it's, like, 2:30 p.m. And then it's, like, them sitting around, like, hooking equipment up. And you're just like, really? It does that quite a bit. Now, I get it. Like, you know, we are on a ticking time clock, you know. We all know we're supposed to be out by a certain day or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, you can just do this daily. Like, you don't have to give me, like, 4 breakdowns of Monday or, you know, whatever. Just give me Monday. Like, Monday. That's all you just want. The Shining did that shit. Just Monday. Boom. I'm good. Let's go. No, but here we get, like, every, you know, whatever, you know, time and everything. But no, this is really good. I feel like this one actually had a couple good, decent jump scares. And nothing that really made me, like, and then, you know, cower in fear for the rest of the movie. But it definitely kept me going. Like, I was just like, boom, like I wasn't expecting some of it. And it really was. I thought it was very well done that way. Yeah, there ain't really a whole lot I can say beyond that. I think you guys should check it out. Once again, if you've never seen it before, and you have seen Scary Movie 2, maybe you won't be able to take it as seriously, because, I mean, you're going to be like, oh, wow, this is just like, you know, only thing we're missing here is a couple of Wayans and Anna Faris, and that's his. So, but no, I do recommend it. I think it's a damn good ghost movie. I've seen better, and once again, I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but I do think that the new modern supernatural ghost movies are so much better than the older ones. But this one is definitely one of the best ones of that old school, you know, whatever. You know, even now, even though Amityville was one of my favorite horror films of, you know, or haunted house movies of, you know, forever, I gotta say this goes above it, because I really do just think this is definitely has a quicker pace to it, and on reflection, Amityville has some just really cheesy scenes. Like, it didn't seem cheesy to me at the time, and it wasn't until maybe rewatching them years later that I realized just how cheesy they are. Like when Mario Kidder wakes up, he shot him in the head, and you're just like, what? Or James Brolin, you know, how do you say it? Like, you know, my life's coming apart. It was just something ridiculous. I don't know. But this one didn't seem like it had any of that kind of cheesiness to it. I mean, it seems like it's very straightforward, very gothic looking. I love the set. I thought the set looked really good and everything else. So, I mean, the only thing, and there is one thing. Now, I am going to drop some spoilers. When we get to the end, because we get down to like 2 survivors, and they're just kind of piecing together this mystery of you know, why are they being haunted by this ghost and whatnot. And it just seems like they're piecing together. They're just kind of like pulling like facts out thin air, and they're like, well, he actually had no leg. Like, they're like, you know, the guy who you know, the ghost has an ego, and apparently he was kind of gimpy in his legs, and he ends up sawing them off and like putting 2 giant prosthetics. That's one of the key things early on. They're just like, he's well over 6'5", and he was just a monster of a man. And then at the end, you find out he wasn't. He was actually just very short, and that's maybe why he's pissed or whatever. And you're just kind of like, who cares? Like it is like the most weirdest like thing. Like the last like 10 minutes is just them basically tying this shit up. Like, oh, here's the whole, here's the end of the mystery, and it just doesn't really seem to add up to anything. Like you're just like, well, why? This really makes no sense. Why he was, I don't know. He was doing these depraved acts anyway. Like, to me, that would be enough to make the house haunted. Like all the shit that went down, the torture and all that shit. That's enough, I would think, to make a haunted house. But it turns out those spirits aren't even pissed. It's still the guy who was doing it all, who is super pissed off because he had gimpy legs and he I don't know, he puts himself in a lead room because he knew that at some point scientists would come along to detect, the spirit waves, or I don't know what the fuck's going on. It was just so fucking bizarre, and you're like, what? Really? This is how it's how it ends. It literally ends that way. But yeah, no, I do recommend it. Like I said, aside from that cheesiness at the end and a couple of minor things, I think the rest of the movie's really good. And yeah, I recommend it. So, Last House on the Left, boom. Fucking 10-star classic right there. And then, of course, The Legend of Hell House. Check it out. I do recommend it. I did like it. So, yeah. Guys, until next week, boom.